Hey everybody. So we're coming up to the holiday of Sukkot. Jewish people in the desert during the 40 years of travel would travel in these little huts, little sukkahs. And historically, perhaps maybe these were the first example of tiny homes. We read periodically, I see in the newspaper and such, of people having very, very simple, small homes, really downsizing into these tiny homes. Well, maybe this was the first historical tiny home for all we know. The fact of the matter is in the desert, they really didn't need a very sophisticated home because when they were traveling around for 40 years, God provided them with food, with the manna. He provided them with water, with drink, with these wells in the merit of Miriam. They had water to drink. Their clothes did not even wear out that they were wearing. They didn't even need any new clothes, so they needed closets. They weren't needing cars. They weren't going anywhere. The sukkah sufficed. It was enough. But the fact of the matter is that that kind of existence, although it was very, very easy, it was almost very infantile. It was like a newborn baby. Everything was taken care of. And let's face it, there is a certain pleasure, there's a certain enjoyment when we create, when we make things. I like making something. I like cooking. I like building. I like to make something. I don't want everything to be taken care of for me. And so, on the one hand, we have to balance the fact that we can't tie our happiness to things. That's a very, very important lesson and theme throughout Sukkot. It's the Chag, it's the holiday that's associated with happiness. And we know that anybody who's kind of making their happiness dependent on stuff, they're not going to be too happy. That's a fact of life. And so we kind of pull away from all of that and we revisit what went on in the desert in a very, very simple way. The Talmud says that we should make our sukkah during that week. We should make that our fixed home. And our regular home should be our temporary home. We should kind of switch it around for that week. And the idea, once again, is to get back to basics, to refocus us on what's important. So you have, like, once again, these different things. You have the sukkah on the one hand, which is very, very basic, but you have your regular home, which is not so basic, but at the same time provides pleasure by the fact that you could create things and make things and build something. The other extreme is what I often read in the mansion section of the Wall Street Journal. I call it the section that makes you unhappy about what your present living condition is. I know that's very lengthy, but they show you all these gorgeous, beautiful homes that people live in for all kinds of millions of dollars. And then periodically they have articles about super billionaire wealthy people who have more than one home. They have 5, 6 homes all over, beautiful homes. And I say to myself, and I think when I see that, like, that must be so much work to have all those different homes. Again, they're not tiny homes. They're the exact opposite. They're huge homes. And of course, they have a staff that has to run everything. But how much could the Talmud, King Solomon says, Marbeh nechasim, marbeh da'aga. The more stuff you have, the more concerns and worries you have. I can't imagine owning all these different homes and mansions and staff and being concerned, the work that must be involved. Is it being taken care of properly? I mean, I get overwhelmed just in my own home. Granted, I don't have a staff, but still, even to have staff members who watch other staff members who watch all your stuff, I just think it's a big headache. But that's, again, the other extreme, all the way at the other end. The bottom line is, for us more normal people, the idea of Sukkot is to refocus us. Not that we have to live like a sukkah-like existence for a whole year, but if we do it for 1 week, it refocuses us on what's important. Just like Yom Kippur. We just came off of Yom Kippur. And you can't go without food or drink every day. Obviously not, but 1 day out of the year where I totally disconnect from that to just focus on what's important in life and where I'm going and what's meaningful and what I've done right and what I've done wrong and what I got to fix. So that propels me for the whole year. It refocuses me for the whole year. That's what Sukkot does. That, going back to basics like the Jewish people had in the desert, where they're focusing on not all the material things, but more the spiritual things, that helps us so that when we do go back into our own homes, we have a proper perspective on what's meaningful and what isn't, what material things we really, really need, and what material things are excessive and we don't necessarily need, and certainly not to tie our happiness to them. Have a good Shabbat. Chag Sameach. All the best.